It's important to wear the right clothing on your business journey so you do not end up like this family I saw at the airport. It was an extremely cold night here in Kansas City. My wife and I headed up to the airport to pick up my daughter, who was getting back from a vacation. When I arrived, I had now had to make this long journey through the parking lot, through the damp air, and really through the cold winds just to get to the terminal. As I walked towards the terminal, in the distance, I could see a father, mother, and 3 teenage daughters all wearing short shorts and tank tops. They're dragging their luggage toward us really in a hurry. And, this cold night, the winds continued to blow sharply. And I, pushed on toward the terminal, but my eyes were on them. As they got closer, the family arrived at their vehicle, and I watched them really hop around, shiver and shake as they tried to get all their luggage into their cold car. Luckily they didn't have to walk as far as I did, and because I was shivering. I had a stocking cap on, heavy jacket, gloves, so I know they had to be cold. And in my mind, I was thinking, where are your coats? What were you thinking? And when I was about 20 feet from them, I yelled out to them, I'm guessing that you came from somewhere warm. And the family all smiled, and the father really gleefully exclaimed, yeah, we just got back from the Bahamas. So shorts and tank tops were perfect clothing to wear while at the Bahamas. But for this cold winter night in Kansas City, it was not the proper clothing to wear. In your business journey, you'll want to have the proper clothing to wear. Let's call it hats to be worn. And you've heard that term before. I'm wearing different hats. And there will need to be different hats worn, and it'll be really different positions in your organization that stuff needs to be done. So one of these hats to be worn is the role of the entrepreneur. His role is to cast vision, express his passion, motivate and listen to his team, direct them toward his vision. He should look for opportunities, strategize, and basically watch over the health of the business. The only problem with being an entrepreneur is that someone is needed to make the product or perform the service, which is usually done by a technician. If you're busy wearing the hat of a technician and doing the work of a technician, you're unable to do the work of an entrepreneur. You can't wear that hat. Not to mention that if you're busy being the entrepreneur or even the technician, that you're unable to answer the phone. You can't be the secretary also if you're busy doing this other stuff. You can't take orders or even look for customers. You can't be a salesman. Can't make invoices. You can't be the accounts payables. You can't receive monies, accounts receivables. You can't manage the money, accountant. You can't do the marketing, copywriting, advertising, the content creation. You can't order office supplies or work on the equipment. Be the mechanic. You can only wear one hat at a time. On top of these few hats that I mentioned, they need to be worn from you or from someone, but you'll need someone to manage all these jobs. An office manager, a sales manager, a project manager, etc. So what hat are you going to wear? Are you going to be the entrepreneur, technician, manager, or any of the many jobs that needs to be done in a business? Clear down to cleaning the office. Someone has to do that. In the beginning, someone must do these jobs, and the new business owner usually does them all. But unfortunately, he doesn't do them all very well. As an owner, you can hire people, but then you have your employee maybe do multiple roles also. In the perfect world, there would be enough employees hired so you're not trapped working in the business, and that you can do the work of entrepreneur, and then you can have an actual someone dedicated to each position so they can be the best at what they can be. Not every business owner wants the role of entrepreneur. Some would rather just manage the whole process. Others would rather really be the technician, be out in the field doing the work. There's no right answer here. If you want to grow the business, the entrepreneur needs to drive the organization, and he's not able to do that if he's busy doing the day-to-day duties. If you want to just go out and do the work, that's fine, but recognize that you'll be limited in growing your business. And there's still a ton of other job duties that need to be completed. An accountant could be hired to come in once a week to do the office work. There could be a local mechanic shop that can maintain the equipment and vehicles. Any marketing agencies, geared towards small business owners, could be used for marketing and advertising. Any of these routes are okay, but realize that all these hats have to be worn by someone, you or somebody else. So if you started your business just for some extra money, then doing the work of a technician will be fine. Remember, though, that there are only so many hours in a day that you can work. So this limits the money that you can make. In the role of the manager, one could still grow the business if all the other roles are filled, allowing you to just manage the process. Ideally, if the role of the entrepreneur is pursued, you could then work on the business while others do the work in the business. So what hat is right for you? What hat do you want to wear? Entrepreneur, manager, technician, or many of the other job roles? Choosing the wrong hat will leave you like that family I saw at the airport who was hopping around looking ridiculous. Whenever possible, wear the hat of the entrepreneur so that you're more likely to scale your business to a large success. Thanks for watching.